Okay, Sarah Paulson. Gold Derby told you a few months ago that you were going to be nominated twice this year.
Yeah, you did.
And look what happened. So I just want to know, does this make up for last year when we said that you would win for Freak Show and you actually didn't win?
Yeah, I think it does make up for it because it makes you guys seem like real crystal ball people, whereas before it seemed like not so much because, but yeah.
I think we're good at predicting when you'll be nominated. I don't think we've ever been wrong there, but I think when it comes to the wins, we're a little off sometimes.
Yeah.
On Emmy nominations morning, People vs. OJ got 22 nominations. American Horror Story Hotel got 8 nominations. That must have been just an insane morning, not just for you, but for Ryan Murphy and all the cast members and all the crews. What can you tell us what that was like?
It was pretty extraordinary. It's one of those things where my phone just, because I didn't know I'd gotten nominated for Hotel until after I had been nominated for People vs. OJ, and I thought that was the only nomination, and believe me, I was plenty satisfied with it. Mm-hmm. But then 20 minutes, because I guess the supporting actor categories are not part of the live read.
Yeah, I don't know why. That's
because no one loves the supporting actors enough. I don't think they're sort of. We're lucky we don't go, have that ceremony on some, random Tuesday or something. Right. But it was that thing where my phone exploded with all the people from, our crew, our makeup artists, camera operators, all from People vs. OJ. And then 25 minutes later, it was a whole new slew of texts from all the American Horror Story crews, some of which were the same. We had a lot of the same camera department and all the same hair and makeup people, save for Chris Clark, who did the wigs on OJ, who did not work on Hotel. But it was a pretty celebratory morning and a lot of crossover, which was really nice because it meant a lot of double nominations for a lot of people, which was really wonderful and rare, I guess, relatively.
And before we talk more about the Emmys, the TCA Awards were just a few days ago.
Yeah.
You won Best Individual Performance for drama, which is weird. They don't have movie mini.
Yeah, it's called Individual Achievement in Drama. They don't really differentiate between, series or
even men and women, which is
my favorite thing about it, I have to say, because it was a very special, kind of surprising and refreshing idea to sort of think about the incredible breadth of content on TV now, and that those 5 or 6 of us, I can't remember what the number was, were nominated for that individual achievement in a drama, and it was across all different types, shows and genres, and men and women. There were only 2 women, Carrie Russell and myself were the only women, and it felt pretty sweet to have that victory over those very, very talented, celebrated guys.
And People vs. OJ won was Program of the Year. Wonderful. And I believe it's been since 2004 that a miniseries won Program of the Year. That was Angels in America.
Oh, wow. That's pretty special.
Pretty special. The whole show was just really special. And we'll talk about Horror Story a little bit later, but I want to dive in with OJ right now. And first of all, the performance of Marcia Clark was fantastic. The wig was, when I first saw a picture of the wig, I'm like, yes, let's give her an Emmy for that.
Funny, a lot of people, when they first saw the wig, because she's so identified with that really, really short wig, the one that doesn't happen until sort of midway through, and I'm only in that for an episode and a half, I think. People were, saying things like, that wig isn't right because it was so much longer. But if you really watch the trial and the preliminary hearings and all that stuff, they did play a little bit with the timeline in terms of the haircut because they wanted that particular moment to be in the Marcia episode, even though she had technically cut her hair a little sooner. That long wig, her hair was like that for a very long time during the trial. So
you've done so many different roles. I just feel like this was a special role. I don't know if it's because it's a real person, and I know you played a real person in Game Change as well, but what was it about this role that just was different for you as an actress?
I think I learned something about myself as an actress that I didn't know was true before, which is that my imagination is almost overcrowded. So if I'm creating a character with a writer and a director, and it's all sort of invented, like all the previous iterations of Horror Story had been, where you're sort of combining your imagination with their imagination and inventing something from whole cloth. it sort of means anything goes. You can try anything, anything works, because there are no rules. With this show, there were so many parameters and boundaries that you needed to stay inside in terms of this was a story where the facts were not going to change. They weren't going to get in the writer's room and decide all of a sudden that, he would be found innocent.
That would have been a twist.
That would have been a real twist. And I think because there was a real solid foundation of facts that I was able to sift through with my research and so much footage for me to watch her, I was able to kind of, I think, be a little bit more confident and sure of my choices because I had so much fact-based information to stand on that I could go a little bit stronger and take maybe a bigger risk, but with confidence because I had done all the research and I felt strongly about my take on her that was very obviously married to what the writer's take was. And so it was, and I realized that I really would like to play as many real people as possible, certainly where I can, take in all that real footage because there's just something very powerful about it and something that you can get so focused on, making sure Marcia was left-handed and I'm right-handed. So I had to constantly think about and talk to left-handed people, because I'm a right-handed person. Did you carry, if you're carrying your briefcase and a cup of coffee, would you carry the briefcase in your left hand or the coffee in your left hand? And often they would say you would want the most, whatever you want the most control over is where you would use your dominant hand. If you don't want to spill your coffee, you would hold your coffee in your left hand. So all these kinds of things that my brain, my very overactive brain, was able to just focus on so many specific things that I think it kept me a little bit clearer in my mind and a little bit sure of myself, which I think only helps anything that you do, no matter what it is. So I imagine it has something to do with that. So I'm hoping only to play real people from now on.
Right. Speaking of the right hand, left hand thing, it would be so much easier just to flip the camera. Be like, Ryan Murphy, I'm not going to learn how to hold things with another hand. Just film it how it is and flip the camera.
I cannot tell you how many times I went, oh, God damn it. Can we do that again? I use my right hand. Sometimes they would say, we don't have time, or it's fine. We have the other one where you're using your left hand. But I get very, very particular and very vigilant about that kind of thing. And sometimes I got to do it again, but mostly they were just like, we have it in the one where you did it. Like, okay.
The Marcia episode, I think that was the one that really, really spotlighted you and your performance. And I imagine if you had to pick an episode, which for some reason leads don't, that would be your episode. But
yes, that would absolutely be the episode I would submit if I were able to, but I'm not. I don't know why that is. I guess they feel like if you're in a leading category, there's enough material to watch any given episode to see your work, I guess.
Yeah, we can't figure it out either because every acting category, even the leads for like comedy and drama, they get to submit an episode.
Yes. So, but do you think it's because there's so many episodes and it's sort of maybe too much to? But you would think it would only help if it's so much to watch, then just watch this one.
Right. Exactly. But that when you got that script for the Marcia, what was your reaction? Were you worried about all the pressure? Like the episode was basically all about you.
I thought that the pressure I was feeling pretty well lent itself to me just trying to live and breathe what was actually happening to her. I was shooting hotel at the same time, so I was running on very little sleep, like Marcia was. And I just decided to kind of let it be what it was, to not fight my exhaustion. It was the first time in a long time where I got to go into a makeup trailer and they were adding dark circles as opposed to trying to hide them, which was incredibly liberating as a performer and certainly as a woman over 40 to go to work and have this be the least, nobody's interested in making this being the face, look a particular way other than as much like Marcia Clark as they could get me to look. And so I sort of just let all of that be my guide. And it was nerve-wracking and overwhelming in the sense that, like you say, it was so her story in that episode that I knew I just wanted to get it right. And it was so full of everything that was incredibly emotional. Everything leading up to that, you hadn't seen so much of the underbelly of Marcia. And so even though I had read that script, I knew it was coming. So I had some of that to sort of work with in the earlier episodes. But yeah, it was overwhelming. But I had Ryan, Ryan was directing that episode. And having worked with him for so long, he can just kind of say one word to me and I know what he wants me to do. And I have a really, really deep trust going with him. So all of my anxiety, I was able to kind of put it to side and just sort of know that I could count on him for that.
The cast for this was just absolutely incredible. One of the best casts I think ever on television. I want to know who was the diva. Was John Travolta just a complete mess on set?
Was the greatest thing. I mean, John Travolta is the kind of person that our hair and makeup people one day said, "Will you please perform? You're the one that I want. Can you just like a little ditty?" He did it, and to their utter and complete delight. And he would just come in the courtroom with his coffee, and we would have little dance breaks. Our director Anthony Hemingway would put music on sometimes in between setups, and because it was very tense in that room sometimes, and rightly so. So you'd sort of break it up, and John would be up there dancing, and all the background artists would be clapping. He's a real performer, and he was the least diva of all the divas that were there. There were plenty of them. Mm-hmm. It was probably, who would it have been? I don't think the greatest was Kenneth Choi, who plays Ito. He would have his hair going in a particular way, and he was not wearing a wig, so he would come into the courtroom every day wearing his robes, and he would have little like hair clips pinning his hair down to keep it in place. And we would rehearse with these little flat hair clips in his head, and we'd be looking up at him going, "This is just totally surreal and pretty funny." I was like, it was pretty funny.
I chatted with Sterling K. Brown last week. What a performance. I'm so glad he got nominated, because I told him sometimes the Emmys they take a while to find someone, and he was kind of an unknown actor. So I'm so glad that he got recognized for this role.
Me too. It was actually his nomination and Anthony Hemingway's directorial nomination, because I worked with him at 19. He was my second AD on the first job I ever did, and so now has his first Emmy. Those were two nominations that actually made me cry, just because I knew for first time nominations to have been doing such incredible work in something that was so well regarded and well received, and like you say, sometimes a person that is not immediately identifiable or recognizable from some other work that they've done that was loved, they do get overlooked, and that happens all the time. And I just was praying that wasn't going to happen. So I was so relieved. He really deserves it, I think, really.
And at Gold Derby, you're the overwhelming front runner. I don't want to jinx it to win. All of the experts think you're going to win. Does that add pressure? I mean, are you thinking of a speech in case you do get up there, or is that just going to be like too much pressure? You don't want to jinx anything?
No, it's funny. I remember the only time I had a speech written was during season 2. I'd been nominated the year before for the first time, and Jessica Lange was nominated for season 1 of American Horror Story, and I just knew there was no way in hell I was going to win. I just didn't prepare a speech. I was so excited to be there, and I just didn't. But then season 2, a lot of people seemed to think I was going to win, and so I thought I better prepare something. Just to have something in my mind, because I am one of those people that I could get up there and can completely imagine just having a whiteout and just not knowing my own name. So I thought I should write something down. But then since then, I never have. But I remember last year during Freak Show watching so many wonderful people get up there who are veterans of not only winning Emmys, but also of the business. And a lot of them had speeches in their hands and things they had written down. And I started to think maybe it was better just to have something just in case, rather than assuming you aren't going to win, or if you do, that you would just be able to fly blind. And I don't know if I'll write something down. I don't know. It's all too crazy.
Susan Lucci gave one of the best ones. She had lost, I think, 18 times. And when she finally won, she said, "I can't believe it. I never truly believed this would even happen." And then the audience laughed. And it was just a funny moment that people remember. But I mean, you're not quite at 18 losses yet.
Not quite. I'm in good company with a number of people who have not won and been nominated several times. So, I think it took John Hamm how many times?
I think 8.
Yeah, and that's one of the great performances in television history. So you kind of have to go, the work is what the work is, whether you get that trophy or not. I mean, everyone considers that some of the greatest work on television. So, he got it when he got it, and he deserved it, and it's just so great. I don't know, I think, didn't Shirley MacLaine say the greatest thing when she won for Terms of Endearment? She said, I've been wondering what this would feel like for so long. Thank you for terminating the suspense.
I love it.
That was so funny. Yeah.
One of my editors, Daniel Montgomery, he said, if you win, you should get up there and be like, "I think there's been a mistake. Ellen Burstyn, this is for you."
Oh, if it weren't so painful, I probably would. But that was such a painful experience.
I just think maybe that was partly because we really boosted your odds at Gold Derby, and we
I think,
maybe.
yeah, I don't know. I think the truth of the matter is that, and I think I've said this before, you know, I'm just a goony little actress person who wanted this for my whole life. And so it sounds a sort of trite and pat thing to say that, oh, just being nominated is an honor. But when you know, you're a girl from Tampa, Florida, who decided she wanted to be an actress and was lucky enough to grow up in New York City, and I had wonderful opportunities, and to be in this company and to be nominated twice in 1 year, it's just a little bit dizzying in terms of it's incredibly flattering and humbling and makes you feel that it's not a mistake, you know, that you get, you know, you're getting to do what you love. But, you know, there's always that little kid in me that, you know, practiced speeches in the mirror when I was 7 years old and 11 years old and 15 years old, and dreamt about what it would be like, and never missed an Emmy Awards. And, you know, so it's not that they give meaning to something that didn't have meaning prior. Because at the end of the day, I got to play Marcia Clark. I got to play that part. I got to learn something about a woman I had really misguided ideas about. And I got to do that. I got to work with these incredible actors. I got to tell this story. No one can ever take anything. Nobody can take that away. So it's just the icing on the cake. But it's just, it meets that moment where that little person that lives inside of you thinks, what an incredible thing that would be. And so you can't help but fantasize about it and dream about it and want it. You know, I think a lot of people try to pretend, you know, because it's probably healthy to sort of not make any of that your business, the winning or losing of awards, and it can't mean anything, because then when you lose,
Right.
then it means that your work wasn't good, and that can't be what it means. But I sort of like the idea of acknowledging that winning probably feels really good, and it's always been a childhood dream of mine. And I'm sure there's some also deep part of me that feels like it would concretize something in terms of my internal feeling about my own self as an actress, of like, okay, you should be doing this, and this is
Right.
the thing. And so.
And for the supporting race for Hotel, you did get to submit an episode, and you chose, I believe it was the 10 Commandments killer.
Yeah.
What was it about that one that really stood out for you?
Well, it was between that and Battle Royale, I think, for me, in terms of, because I was playing Marcia, I didn't get to do as much as Sally as I would have liked, because I loved playing her. There was something she just didn't give a shit about anyone but herself, and we all have that piece of us that exists, and it was very liberating and kind of fun and freeing and exciting to play that, while I was playing somebody else who was so focused and had such a real task at hand that was where the stakes were so high. This was another person who just wanted what she wanted. And that was really fun. But so I sort of had to think about which episode where I had, you know, enough scenes that I thought, you know, if somebody put in the tape and watched it for 20 minutes, that they would at least see a scene or two of me. I don't know. I think that episode, it was sort of the moment when it's revealed that John, that played by Wes, is the 10 Commandments killer. And Sally's very much involved in revealing that to him. It was very painful for her to have to let him know who he really was. And also at the prospect, with him having that information, she knew she might lose him, that he might leave the hotel and never come back. And so it just felt that it had enough colors in there and it was front loaded. I think I had a few more scenes in the front, which I thought, if somebody decides they can't take an episode of American Horror Story and they have to turn it off, at least they will have seen me do one or two things.
Or if a voter is maybe just, you know, skimming, you know, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
Yes, because it's a lot. I understand it's a lot to watch. There's so much stuff on television. It's great. So.
And this Hotel season, it really made an effort to kind of incorporate previous seasons together, like bringing back older characters. Specifically in the finale, you got to play Billie Dean Howard again from season 1. That must have been first of all, really fun, but also a shock. You probably didn't think you would ever be playing her again.
No, I absolutely never thought I'd be playing her again. And Ryan said, "Oh, lady, you're gonna be psychic Billie Dean Howard in the last episode." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Oh yeah, it's great. You're gonna do a seance. There's gonna be a whole thing." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Out came those nails. I mean, it was lucky this time that I was doing the other thing at the same time, because the first time I played her, I had to get real acrylic nails that were like sharpened to this crazy point and were painted this really hideous pink coral 1950s kind of grandma something color. It was not good. This time, because I was doing the other thing and going back and forth with playing Sally in the same episode, they did stop short. There was one scene where Sally was going to be in that that big seance scene.
Oh, interesting.
Then they decided that might make our day about 5 hours longer to have to take the wig off and put on, the Sally, make my hair do that thing, which was my own hair, by the way.
So was there maybe one day or a pair of days where you played Marcia, Billy Dean, and Sally all at the same time?
That didn't happen.
Okay.
That didn't happen on the same day, but what would happen is I would sometimes have 8 or 7 hours in between playing Sally and Marcia. They were two different productions, so even though they were under the same banner in terms of all being at 20th, there were, I would finish on the lot playing Sally. Typically, the horror story hours went much later than the crime story hours. And I would be shooting until 2 a.m. Then I'd have a 9 a.m. call in the courtroom as Marcia. And so I'd be on set as Sally with my scratches and my bruises and my sweat and my tears, practicing closing arguments, with anyone who would read it with me on set. And they were like, this is really weird looking at you in this drug-addled state while you're trying to talk to the jury.
On a personal level, I'm bummed Dennis O'Hare didn't get nommed. I think he was absolutely fantastic.
Me too.
But you're up with Kathy Bates, who is equally, amazing.
Yes, and whom I love so much. And I love Jean Smart, and I love Melissa Lee. I mean, I just think it's and Regina, it's just a real group of actresses I feel very proud and excited to share that with. It's pretty great.
And okay, we have to run here, but just before we went live, you told me you were going to spoil American Horror Story season 6. So I'm ready to hear the whole story here.
You think that you were going to get me to do that? You are insane. I've been doing this long enough to know that no.
I kind of like
allowed to say that. I couldn't say that for the longest time, and then I finally got word. Yeah, you can confirm that.
Right.
It's been very exhausting. Everybody, from the very beginning. I mean, it's so exhausting to deny it. But I remember. I think we talked last time we talked on a red carpet. You asked me, and I had to say I hope so. I just knew I couldn't until the man himself says it out loud. And typically, at Paley Fest, we're all sitting there, and
Yes, he usually does. I was looking forward to that, and he didn't do it this
year. He didn't do it this year, and so we all knew we better zip it. For any of us who knew what was coming and who was coming back and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad the cat's out of the bag. It was really hard.
Finally. Do you know who you're playing? Can you at least admit that?
Yes. Oh, we're shooting.
Okay, good. Yeah. That's good.
Oh, I know who I'm playing, all right.
At first I was mad.
Is not real. I think people are going to be surprised at how the things that people think have gotten out are not what they think, which is pretty great.
Can you give a one-word tease of your character?
One-word tease of my character. Oof. See, it gets dicey because I could just say the wrong thing and the whole internet's going to just, the AHS fandom's going to go bananas. I'll give you 3.
Ooh.
Real, live, human. And you'll see what I mean when you see it.
I love it. Well, Sarah, this has been fantastic talking to you yet again. 2 nominations this year. That's absolutely fantastic for you. And we're really rooting for you, and we hope it happens.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Cool. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.